Welcome back to the channel. I am Matt Sokol, and today we're going to be doing a special edition where I'm going to break down my opinion on the Vegas Dave versus Gary Vee controversy that's all over the sports cards world right now. So without further ado, let's get into it. So yesterday, Vegas Dave posted a couple different photos and videos basically talking about the sports card market totally collapsing into an abyss, essentially. And so he issued this warning first, actually a couple of days ago. He put out a post that said in the next 2 to 3 years, the sports card market is going to collapse. He compared it to the 2007 subprime mortgage collapse that we had that caused the 2008 recession, which was very big. There's many movies specifically about that. And he keeps going on. He says a bunch of things. A lot of people are going to lose money. And then yesterday, he made a video where he burns cards. Actually, it's funny because one of the cards he burns is the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan sticker, which I actually just bought one like 3 days ago. So I thought that was funny. That was one of the cards he burned. And actually, there was another video before that that was deleted where he burns a bunch of 1986 cards. He also burns $500 cash. If you don't know, it's illegal to destroy money. And so that has me wondering if maybe that's the reason why he deleted that video. Actually commented some fire on the video, but it was deleted. I assume because his lawyers are like, Dave, you can't show $500 on fire on your Instagram. You just can't do it. It's illegal. It's a federal crime to destroy money. The more you know. Obviously, he didn't know that. Listen, a lot of people are making fun of Vegas Dave. They are. People are always making fun of him, but that's actually how he gets a lot of his attention. That's how he gets a lot of his followers, is through people making fun of him, mocking him. The haters, basically. He always talks about it, and it's just true. The haters will make you famous, and so a lot of people hate him, but it's built something very big for himself. Complete respect to everything that Vegas Dave has built for himself, his business, etc. A lot of people in the sports card industry that have seen this video kind of instantly clap back, say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a loser, and that's it. And I always talk about kind of blocking out the haters, ignoring them, you know, put your noise canceling headphones on and just keep doing what you're doing. But there's a certain part of that which isn't true, which is sometimes it's important to hear the opinions of other people just so you can understand the full view of the market. And that's something that I believe, and so that's why I really did watch this video. That's why I listened to it. I wasn't just clowning it the whole time. I listened to it. I tried to understand what he was coming from, even if I didn't agree with it. Of course, he called Gary Vee out, which is very big. I'm still waiting to see if Gary Vee responds. I have a feeling that he might. I'm not really sure. It was a pretty big call out, so we'll have to see. I'll keep you guys updated on that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because if he does respond to Vegas Dave, you can bet your ass I'll be making a video about it. So one of the things that Vegas Dave discusses specifically is basically market manipulation. And market manipulation is something that's well known. It happens in majority of the industries, and it's something that, as someone that's an investor like me and maybe like you need to be aware of. Basically, market manipulation, and let me just tell you, eBay specifically, in my opinion, is the most market manipulation that you'll ever see, because a lot of those sales that show up as sold when you search on eBay were either canceled by the buyer or the seller, or they were never paid for, or they were returned, or it was just a fraudulent sale to begin with. And so there's a lot of sales data on eBay, specifically eBay, that's just fake because it never really happened. You can win something on eBay and not pay for it. It's happened before, it'll happen again, and it's very common, unfortunately, especially if someone's selling a high-end card, right? Maybe the week before, you buy that same card or a similar card for a high price, so that when people are bidding on your card, they see that comp sale as being high and they'll bid more on your card. That's a little bit about market manipulation. I don't have any experience with those bigger auction houses like Heritage, Golden, etc. I am speaking with Golden, so I'm going to start working with them. Send them a couple of my cards that are over $1,000 and see how it goes. But Vegas Dave also makes the claim that those sales, while they're not fraudulent because people are legitimately buying and owning it, because you can't really cancel a sale at an auction house. You buy it, it's yours. He says manipulation is happening on that end. Manipulation is happening because people are willingly paying insane prices. Basically, for example, there is a Michael Jordan PSA 10 up right now at Golden. The last sale was, I believe it was $730,000 last week. 2 of them sold for that, and it's projected that it's gonna be $1 million plus this sale, which is a huge increase. And so by people willingly paying the highest price ever just so that they could say they paid it, and just so they could get that free press that comes with it, Vegas Dave is saying that that is another way of manipulation, which I guess to a degree it's correct. It really depends on the intention of the buyer. If they're intending on buying something to hold it until they die, then obviously that's a different scenario than someone that's just buying something so that they could drive the hype up, so they could use that to flip it, right? So market manipulation, it's real. It's something you need to be aware of. Sports Card Investor put a post on their Instagram as well recently talking about market manipulation. It's something that does happen. Don't be naive and think it doesn't. It does, especially on eBay. Be careful on eBay. Something that Vegas Dave fails to mention at all is basically the population of cards, which means how many of a given card in a given grade are there. He doesn't talk about it at all. And that's something that you should consider when you're buying cards to hold or even to quick flip, is how many are there? Some cards, hey, they could be numbered out of 99. They could be numbered out of 50. That's great. Some cards, maybe they're not numbered, but the PSA 10 population is only 100 or 200 or 500. Other cards, specifically just the regular base cards generally, the populations can be 10 to 20,000 PSA 10s. We're seeing that with some of the Prism. We're seeing that with some of the Mosaic. And so those are cards where there's so many of them out there, you really do need to be careful about holding it. And specifically, most of those cards are modern. Most of those cards are over the last couple of years, or even from 1920, which is the most production that Panini has had in a really, really long time. And so I'm not saying don't invest in players that you believe in, because obviously you should, but don't buy those base cards. Don't buy those cards that have 15,000 of the same one. I view that as risky. I think you're better off sticking to cards that are numbered, cards that you know there's only, 100-200 of out there, cards where they're not plentiful. It's all about supply and demand. And so the first thing about supply and demand is supply. If there's 15,000 cards, there's 15,000 cards. If there's 100, there's 100. What would you rather have? Something where there's 15,000 or something where there's 100? I think universally the answer is 100. Because you don't want something that everyone else has. You want something that less people have, generally. I think people are going to lose money with modern. People are going to lose money, as Gary Vee says, rookie chasing. I agree with it. If you strongly believe in someone, there's nothing wrong with buying that card if it brings you joy. If you think maybe they're going to be an amazing player, that's fine. But be careful what you're buying. Be careful who you're buying. And number one, really, diversify who you're buying. Don't just buy one guy or two guys. Don't just buy the 2019 class. Buy everybody. All years, different sports, different players, different ages, across the board. Diversify. I lost money because I was all in on something. I've lost money because I didn't diversify. I lost money because I didn't understand the dynamics of the market. These are the dynamics. I'm telling you, this is the key to making sure that you, one, make money, and two, don't get caught holding the bag. Because you can make money, but if you reinvest it, and then you get caught holding the bag, guess what? Buy profits. I know this has evolved from talking about Vegas Dave to talking about how I view the market, but this is how I view it. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, the market is going to be overall really good. It's going to continue to grow. We're going to get more investment money. I think vintage is the safest bet of all because, one, it's very, very limited. There's a low population. The grades are worse. It's harder to find that better grade card. Two, the players, their careers are over. Some of these players have even passed away, and so their legacy is there. It's intact. They're a Hall of Famer. They're a top 10, 25, 50 player, whatever it is. It's done. It's in stone. Game over. It's made. But the opposite goes for those current players. And there's plenty of current players, like let's talk about LeBron James, for example, right? Okay, LeBron's one of the greatest of all time. He still plays. Where does that fall? That falls in the same category as those older players, in my opinion, because he's solidified as one of the best of all time. It's solidified. Once they're solidified, I move it a little bit. Of course, it's not that fully vintage side. It's not that fully he's already a Hall of Famer side, but it's a lock. It moves closer to that side. It's more of a safer pick. And that's fine. But people are going to get killed. Really, really. And I know people overlook this from what Vegas Dave said and even from what Gary Vee said because of their, pessimism and optimism of the market. But the one thing you need to understand is don't get caught holding the bag with modern high pop cards. That's it. You're going to lose so much money. Base Mosaic 2019 Zion and Ja, don't hold it. Don't hold it. There's so many of those cards, a lot of these cards, at PSA now. So whatever the population report you see, it's not even accurate because there's more cards at PSA. Not only that, but those people are flippers. Once they get those cards, what do you think's going to happen? They're flooding the market. They're flooding the market. It's dripping. The market is dripping. It's flooded. And what happens when the supply is high and the demand's the same? The price goes down. That's the beauty of economics. It's easy to understand and it makes sense. Supply is high, demand's the same, price is down. That's it. And so you have to be careful of those cards with high pops because there's a lot of PSA. Plus, the people that are getting them back are flipping them, which is fine. I'm one of those people, but that's how I know that you shouldn't hold the card because majority of the people aren't. The market gets flooded, and that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I don't understand what else I need to say. Don't get caught holding the bag on modern stuff. People, they don't understand. They get too caught up in it. They get too romantic about Tyler Hero and RJ Barrett and this guy and that guy. And they don't understand that as time goes on and that player, probably goes into, obscurity, as they would call it. It's going to go down. The card's going to go down year over year. I mean, Sports Card Investor, they did a fantastic video explaining basically how every year from each rookie class, one player, their card value really just plummets. And it happens year over year, and it's going to continue to happen, even though the market's growing. The market's growing, but you got to be careful. I keep repeating it. I keep saying it because I go back to this time that I held the bag on what I could have had $250,000 of unrealized profit on Topps Project 2020. I got greedy. I didn't really understand the market because the market was a sham at that point. I should have known that. I should have cashed out. I didn't understand it at that point, and I made the mistake of buying too much blindly into the hype. Never blindly buy into the hype. Think about what you're doing, the ups and the downs, what could go good, what could go bad, and think about what's the main driver of the market. That's it, man. Don't get caught holding the bag like a bozo. Don't get caught making mistakes that I just told you to avoid. And so, ultimately, to sum it up, Vegas Dave has some valid points. Gary Vee has some valid points. But the main conclusion is, don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get caught in the hype. And don't put too much money into high pop, modern cards. That's it, baby. Diversify, diversify, diversify. And that's it, man. You gotta understand this. And this is sad. It is sad because I want to see people win. I don't like to see people lose. Somebody's gonna get caught holding the bag. That's how it is. Somebody's gonna get caught holding the bag. And it's gonna be some of you guys that are watching it. So make sure that it's not you that's holding the bag. Don't get caught holding the bag. I'll catch you in the next one.